Welcome to another episode of the Community Broadband Bits podcast. I'm Christopher Mitchell at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance in St. Paul, Minnesota. Actually, Minneapolis today, back in the office, but not from my normal home in St. Paul. And I'm speaking with William Sullivan, a concerned citizen of Baltimore, who is doing some really interesting work around youth and computers. William, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be on.
And you and I got connected by Amalia, who works at the R.W. Deutsch Foundation, doing wonderful work engaging people across the community to improve internet access and make sure people can take full advantage of that. And that's where, as I understand it, you basically shared some work you'd been doing with trying to get more opportunities for kids to engage with computers and video games and that sort of a thing. But why don't you tell us where that story starts?
Well, that story starts. I was working in my recreation center. I was working in my recreation center, and at this time, the thing that was going on was the computer gaming, mostly with the teenagers. I forget the name of it, but there was some serious gaming going on. And also at the same time, I'm working with mainly middle school children, and I wanted to prepare them for the job market. And the ways that I felt that I could do that was through computers and through preparation with administrative stuff. I wanted to get them to get their typing speed up so that they could write resumes and also do applications and all. But that wasn't interesting to them. So what I did was I combined that with gaming. And I promised them that I would have the games available for them. But in order for them to participate in the games, they had to take the lessons that I had laid out. And that turned the key. And since that turned the key, and they were actively participating and spending good amounts of time doing that, I introduced it to some of my other coworkers. And we decided that we could take this a step further. And I talked to some of my coworkers. They told me that we would need monitors and modems, and we found a way to produce that. So the next step was to coordinate everything, to build a game board, and to challenge person to person and rec center to rec center. And we got all of that worked out. Then, because I was involved in something else with some of the colleges, I asked that the college give us grad assistants that had to do community-based work before they graduated.
Mm-hmm.
They said yes. So we built on that idea and decided that maybe we should teach the kids how to break a computer down and build it back up, because there were so many different incoming opportunities back then in the computer field that would give them great college exposure and keys to get into good paying jobs in the job market. And we did all of that. We put all of that together, but we were never able to start the program because an administrator who was not a part of the program decided that since she was not in, we could not do it. And so she nixed that program. And
so you had, sorry to interrupt, you had built a lot of community interest. You had it all worked out, and ultimately it's kind of a political turf issue that got in your way there.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. So the kids, and I can't give you a number, but we started with 12 at my center. If you did that times 6, that's 72 in the first round. And as it is with other programs that I've done, those programs become citywide. And now you have a whole lot of interest in all different areas of Baltimore City. And we also were located in an area in Baltimore City where the feeder high school was called actually digital high school. Their main
Hmm.
focus was computers. So me being computer illiterate, which I still am, anything that I needed to do with computers, I would just call in my students from high school and they would do it for me. So everything just kind of fell like dominoes, except you didn't get to the end of the line. Someone pulled the domino out and stopped everything.
But let's talk a little bit about how enthusiastic the kids are, because I feel like this is something that it's not always clear to people, that you have kids that will be motivated to do a variety of things that we want them to do, and also they'll be busy, which I think is very important for kids, to keep them out of trouble no matter where they are or who they are. Kids that don't have something they're working on can get into trouble a lot easier than kids that are focused on something. And you saw a real potential there, that the kids really were motivated to be able to play in these games. Not just that, but to be able to play against each other and compete against people that they knew and people in the city.
And people that they did not know. And that part was very important to me because of the crime issue in Baltimore City. Usually, one major part of crime is unfamiliarity. If you're not familiar with faces, then confrontation could result. As you break down the unfamiliarity, then people, whether they become friends or just associates, the crime factor lessens. And as you introduce a child from East Baltimore to a child from West Baltimore, there's that big divide. But through the gaming, that big divide seems to shrink up, and somehow they will link up, and there will not be that turfism. So it's
Hmm.
so many different components that could go towards crime fighting, job training, college, the road to college success, so many different things just from gaming, just through gaming.
And this would have been done through recreational centers that are already there, but they're not currently set up to handle and support that level of interest, right? They don't have necessarily the right computers or connectivity, and that's the part that you were going to solve.
Yes.
And then is there a future for this? Have you seen it where it might happen elsewhere? Or do you think that there's a way to bring it back and make it happen still in Baltimore?
You know, when I first started with this class that I'm in, I didn't know what my role could be. I see,
And that class is, sorry to interrupt, for people who may not have been familiar, I believe you're in the Digital Equity Learning Lab with RW Deutsch Foundation, right?
yes, that is correct. And I didn't, being a computer nerd, illiterate, I didn't know where I could fit in. So I just was tagging along. And as the conversation started merging, I saw a couple of different ways that we could do this. And I think that with the individuals that are also in and with the organizations that they're representing, we could quite possibly do a program like this across Baltimore City. And if we did it, and we did it successfully, even for just 1 year or just one school session, then we could replicate this across the country. I mean,
Do you see, sorry, go ahead, please
I
continue.
mean, it just has so much potential. And when you look at the fact that a lot of children in our communities don't have very good internet access, this would give them the internet access, and it would start giving them the power to create. And in my experience, children are very powerful in creating new things because they don't have the barriers that adults have on their minds. Children, if you allow them to, can create anything.
I have a 6-year-old and I'm seeing that.
And then you as a parent will say to that 6-year-old, well, no, no, for whatever reason, and that destroys it. Instead of saying, yes, let's make this happen.
That is absolutely correct. And I have changed my plans on many a Saturday to try to avoid saying no at this point. Been making my son made a styrofoam car out of some shipping materials, and I decided I was going to use a hole saw to cut out some wooden wheels for him rather than doing the other things I was going to do, because I wanted to make sure he kept that interest.
Yes, yes. I recall when I was in, getting off the topic, I recall when I was in junior high school, now they call it middle school, and General Motors came to my school and they asked the student body to get interested in designing cars. And they held a competition. They didn't use styrofoam, we used wood and soap, and we built cars. And
Yeah.
it's just tremendous, all the things that kids can take part in, and you never know which one of that group of kids is going to go on and become an executive for General Motors or somebody else.
Well, I think there's been an effort in in the 90s and since, in terms of like having basketball leagues and other things like that to try to give kids something to do. Does the e-gaming league, does that appeal to different kids? Is there a generational shift that they're less interested in organized sports now? Like, how does that fit in?
Well, I think that if you did and you just called it an e-league, that sounds good.
E-gaming. Yeah.
That sounds good. E-gaming league. That would, okay, let's look at this. Basketball players are physically endowed and they train to be physically endowed. There are people who are on the computer that will never step on a basketball court, but they will make the games using the images of the basketball players.
Hmm.
And that you see how with the Madden thing and all of that, you see how that has taken the country by storm. So
Absolutely.
there is definitely that. And you're talking about kids that are marginalized because they can't dribble a ball, they can't hit a ball, they can't spin and turn on the dance floor. We don't create opportunities for them, and we should.
And you found that getting these kids started in gaming and then getting them in these competitions will lead them to be more interested in learning what other opportunities there are around computers.
Of course, yes. You're talking about computer security, computer manufacturing, and all the others. I can't name all the stuff because it's there. And if you look at it, all of these are well-paying professions,
Right.
and they're highly respected professions, and they're emerging. Computer and internet and all of that is the new technology, and they can get in right here, right now at the ground floor. And who knows, they might put us on Mars.
Yes, absolutely. Or maybe make it so we don't have to leave the planet.
There you are. There you are.
I love this idea. I've been talking about this for quite a bit, in that I felt like there's a lot of kids who are good kids who, might just be out because they don't have something to be doing in the
Mhm.
home. And I'd rather have them in the home playing video games than out where they're, caught up in something. Because I was a kid too. It still seems like it wasn't that long ago.
And I would rather not have them in the home as much as you are insinuating. I would like to have them in the library, in the
Hmm.
school, in the recreation center, interacting with other kids, not just in the home.
Right, that's a great distinction. I'm glad you said that, because I feel like they're also there. You made the point that I just want to we can lean toward ending on this, but building that familiarity with other kids that they may not be going to school with, they might not be in their neighborhood with. That's going to do a lot to try and avoid some of the problems that you see between East and West Baltimore. But every city has these dynamics.
Yes, every city. Yes. So now
Well,
when you
thank
start
you.
developing, as you said, e-teams, and you take these gamers and you take the gaming out of it and put them into a real life situation, can you develop something that will solve this problem and let
Yes,
them go and build a competition,
right.
and they will do it.
Yeah, I'm super enthusiastic about this. I mean, we certainly see robotics teams that are doing interesting things, and I feel like if it just takes getting some computers, dedicated space, and such in the rec centers, in the schools to be useful for this,
Mhm.
it's such a great idea. And I really hope we see that in Baltimore. I hope that others will listen to this and work toward getting it in their communities too.
Yes. And if they do start working toward it, they should network because they'll run into some of the same problems, but also very unique problems that they would be able to help one another with.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time today, William.
Okay. And thank you for having me on. And I hope this goes somewhere.
We have transcripts for this and other podcasts available at muninetworks.org/broadbandbits. Email us at podcast@muninetworks.org with your ideas for the show. Follow Chris on Twitter. His handle is @CommunityNets. Follow muninetworks.org stories on Twitter. The handle's @muninetworks. Subscribe to this and other podcasts from ILSR, including Building Local Power, Local Energy Rules, and the Composting for Community podcast. You can access them anywhere you get your podcasts. You can catch the latest important research from all of our initiatives if you subscribe to our monthly newsletter at ilsr.org. While you're there, please take a moment to donate. Your support in any amount keeps us going. Thank you to Arnie Hughesby for the song Warm Duck Shuffle, licensed through Creative Commons. This was the Community Broadband Bits podcast. Thanks for listening.